कुमार स्वामी नायकर गोंगो लुबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की।
In the news tonight, SODELPA General Secretary resigns. Ahluwalia broke work permit rules, says Prime Minister. And Methodist Church investigates Dilkusha allegations.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Bulonaka, Fiji. Social Democratic Liberal Party General Secretary Emmeline Duitu Turanga has resigned, citing personal and family as reasons. This has been confirmed by Party President Ratu Epenisa Thakumbau in a statement this afternoon. Ratu Epenisa says he's received a formal resignation from Duitu Turanga. She worked as General Secretary for 9 months. The statement also says Duitu Turanga will remain a senior member of the party and has pledged to continue offering her services when needed. The resignation will be effective at close of business this Friday. And Apanisa Wangairandovu joins us live now. Apanisa, what more do we know about Nduitu Turaga's sudden resignation?
Edwin, MLA just served on the position for 9 months after replacing Andilitia Ngioni Baravi. It is understood there is a faction in SODELPA who never welcomed her to her new role. This is evident as members and financial donors took the party to court in numerous occasions over the past 9 months, alleging that her appointment was illegal. In the Suva Civil High Court, businessman and financial member of SODELPA, Choni Rayawa, filed a similar civil action against SODELPA, its now outgoing General Secretary and Party President Ratu Epenisa Thakumbau. SODELPA's lawyer, Romanu Vananalangi, has filed a summons to have the matter struck out, saying the lawsuit discloses no reasonable cause of action. Party President Ratu Epenisa Thakumbau will now be the point of contact until the management board meeting is convened by SODELPA to appoint its new General Secretary. Edwin.
Naka Epenisa. Prime Minister Vorengyam Bainimarama says work permits come with conditions that must be followed by the holder at all times. Following talks on social media and other platforms regarding the deportation of University of the South Pacific former Vice-Chancellor Professor Paul Ahluwalia and his wife Sandra Price, Bainimarama clarified that expatriates are only deported when they breach the conditions of their permits. Sanya Nimboila reports.
While speaking during Radio Fiji 1's Nananda Prime Minister program, Bainimarama highlighted that Fiji's work permit conditions are similar to others around the world.
It is clearly written in the permit that people should not engage in activities that could affect the unity of Fijians, their safety, good governance, and the enhancement of service provided to Fijians. They should not involve in work that could bring about division in communities.
Bainimarama says upon investigation, the government found numerous breach of the work permit regulations by Professor Paul Ahluwalia and his wife, which forced the immigration department to deport them.
Both of them did not respect the rules and regulations that abides them while working in Fiji. This is the Section 13 of the Immigration Act, so the government received confirmation that they continuously breached the agreement, resulting in their deportation.
He adds this was not the first deportation undertaken by the government.
The government has deported a lot of foreign workers in recent years, and this is neither the first nor the last. This is done to ensure that rules and regulations related to our work permit is adhered to, and also for the safety of every Fijian.
There are around 20,000 work permit holders in Fiji, and Prime Minister says they have contributed immensely towards the development of this country. Sainia Nimboila, FBC News.
Despite a national outcry over rape, there seems to be no end to this crime as new cases are reported almost daily. The Fiji Women's Crisis Center has launched an anti-rape campaign to further strengthen awareness on the issue. Jeshulal reports.
Fiji Women's Crisis Center coordinator Shamima Ali says in 95% of rape cases, the perpetrators were known to the victims.
For 661 rape cases, 701 rape perpetrators. That means there were some gang rapes also. Of that, 668, 95% of the perpetrators were known to the survivor.
Are looking at statistics that says that most of the victim survivors know who their attackers are.
Ali says many of the rape cases are unreported and a national prevention plan is being put in place to highlight on this.
But we have ignored rape. We talk about it, we talk about child protection, but we are not seeing any traction in that. So we are launching this month our one-year anti-rape campaign.
The Fiji Women's Crisis Center counselors, legal team and community advocates have also reported that there were cases of violence during the COVID-19 lockdown. A vigil was held yesterday evening to remember women who have fallen victims of domestic violence and rape. Jeshulal, FBC News.
The important role women play in the fight against COVID-19 and the recent natural disasters was highlighted. In the largest gathering for International Women's Day yesterday, the Lambasa Civic Centre was a sea of colour as over 500 women from Maduata gathered to celebrate women around the world. Eleanor Turangaivu has more.
The focus of the International Women's Day celebration centered on recognizing and celebrating the leadership role that women play as frontliners, first responders and peace builders in our society.
We are fortunate and blessed that today we as women have a voice. Hamari awaaz hai, hamari pehchan hai. We have the power to make a difference. This should be celebrated and that is exactly why we are gathered here today.
Now into its 10th year, International Women's Day is celebrated annually in Lambasa by the Women's Forum and the Ministry of Women. The women of Maduata have been highly praised for their resilience following the recent string of natural disasters.
You have taken the lead to rebuild and reconstruct your homes. You have shown domestic leadership by being proactive in preparing for disasters, keeping your homes and families ready.
The celebration also acknowledged our women frontline fighters, doctors, nurses, police women, military women and other women working tirelessly for our country as we continue to fight COVID-19.
Thank you so much for your contribution, for your sacrifices. They inspired us to be fighters and to be strong no matter how difficult life gets.
The celebration and activities for the day were aligned to the theme Choose to Challenge. Eleanor Turangaivu, FBC News.
The Methodist Church is investigating allegations of verbal and physical abuse as well as neglect of children at the Dilkosha home in Nosori. President Reverend Ili Vunisuwai says they condemn such actions and are looking into the matter while liaising with the Department of Social Welfare. The complainant has also made a request to the Human Rights and Anti-Discrimination Commission to investigate the present management running the home. Director Ashwin Raj says the complainant also wants the Commission to investigate the use of food rations and other assistance given to the home by the public and the state. Raj says the Commission has lodged a police complaint on allegations of physical abuse. Up ahead, Ministry compiles final report on disaster relief. And Consumer Council calls for honest auctions.
मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Welcome back. Our final report on the disaster relief, recovery, restoration and rehabilitation for tropical cyclones Yasa and Ana is being compiled for submission to Cabinet. With the state of natural disaster having ended over the weekend, Minister for Disaster Management Inia Seruiratu says the restoration and rehabilitation will continue. Seruiratu says most of the work from here on will be linked to normal government programs and factored into the budget.
In terms of where to from here, we look forward to the compilation of the final reports, and that will be submitted to government through the normal process. So that is what is left, but very much dependent on the rehabilitation plan that will be formulated once all reports are finalized.
And Eleanor Turangaivu joins us live from Lambasa. Eleanor, now that DISMAC operations have ended, has Vanuatu returned to normalcy?
Now, Edwin, I wouldn't say full normalcy. There is some normalcy, though. I say this because the restoration and the rehabilitation work continues here in Vanuatu, despite the declaration ending on Saturday. Now, for the restoration of essential services, it's almost 100% now. The roads which sustained substantial damage during the cyclones, that's still being restored at the moment. Onto schools, there are some schools which are still holding classes in tents. Now, government plans to get them out of these tents and into classrooms as soon as practical. So the Ministry of Education and building contractors are now in talks over the construction of classrooms for these schools. Now, there are three schools that were badly affected by tropical cyclone Yasa. They will soon start construction of the new classrooms. These are Lekutu Lekutu Secondary School, Mbua District School, and Yandua Island Primary School. Now, onto the rehabilitation of homes. Now, you would have known by now that over 2,000 homes were completely destroyed during the cyclone. Now, families are still living in tents almost 3 months after the cyclone hit. Now, according to government, there's still no plans yet on the rehabilitation of homes, but FBC News understands that UNDP and the Ministry of Disaster Management are working on a housing project that will benefit them. Now, Edwin, it would be amiss of me not to mention the manpower, the massive manpower that was involved for the DISMAC operation. We had civil servants, the police, the RFMF, Navy officers, we had the National Fire Authority, as well as the various civil society organizations, the NGOs that came in from everywhere, companies as well as individuals that had a hand in helping restore services here in Vanuatu. So, Edwin, I'm not fully sure when we will return to full normalcy, but for now we are back on our feet, grinding slowly, Edwin.
Naka Eleanor, consumers buying items on auction are often ending up paying more than what they bargained for in repair costs for their new possession. The Consumer Council of Fiji has received complaints that auctioneers are not providing full disclosures to those who show interest in buying their products. Koroi Tandulala reports most of the complaints are related to vehicle purchases.
The council's chief executive says it is unethical when businesses or people selling an item withhold important information from their buyers.
No, one guy bought worth of 15,000 and the cost of maintaining the, repairing the vehicle will be 25,000. That's a big amount, eh?
Shandil says in many instances, customers discover the defects when they take the car home. Land Transport Authority Chief Executive Samuel Simpson says they've also received complaints of similar nature from people who buy cars from auctions.
Or in some cases of the heavy vehicles, there could be $10,000 or $15,000 of overloading traffic infringement notices on that vehicle.
This is not fair on consumers, because if the people or the businesses are selling any items through auctions, they should make right disclosures so that the consumers can make informed decisions.
Both LTA and the Consumer Council are calling on consumers to demand disclosures and information of any item they plan on buying to avoid paying hefty costs on maintenance. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
Women and girls are still finding difficulty to further their studies at tertiary institutions. Graduate Women Fiji believes the expectations of society at times affect a woman's decision to pursue education, a career, or even take up leadership roles. Kelly Vadala reports.
Women sometimes face multiple challenges in their career and education path.
It's, wanting to take a certain level of leadership, wherever you are, and you feel like you're expected not to, because maybe it's male dominated, maybe you're in that kind of field, or whether it's like juggling, being a working mom and a single mom and not having enough support.
Graduate Women Fiji is urging women and girls to challenge themselves.
And many women face different types of challenges. Sometimes, it's as simple as wanting to go to school and get a higher education. That could be a challenge, right? Because they have expectations, perhaps at home.
Program mentor Tirina Olivo says the majority of times women lack support from one another.
So important that that women support each other, especially intersectionalities, just, women with more experience, women who are just coming up, just being able to interact and sharing our experiences, and especially with challenges that we've been through and how we've come out the other side.
Over the years, the importance of women in matters of nation building and social reforms have been recognized, but more needs to be done to ensure gender equality. Kelly Badala, FBC News.
The defense lawyer for a former diplomat is claiming that the constitutional rights of his clients were violated. Former diplomat Solo Mara, who has been charged by the Fiji Independent Commission Against Corruption, appeared in the newly established anti-corruption court in Suva today. Mara is charged with 1 count of disobedience of lawful order and 1 count of giving false information. He is alleged to have disobeyed a lawful search warrant and is further alleged to have given information which he knew to be false to a FICAC investigator. Defense today asked for a transcript of the state's case for evidence. The initial trial date has been vacated as the matter will now be heard before the anti-corruption court. The matter has been adjourned to May 11th. The United Nations Development Programme today gave IT equipment to the Ministry of Rural, Maritime Development and Disaster Management. The 50 tablets will boost the ministry's immediate response to future disasters to be used for data collection after any natural disaster. Minister Inia Seruiratu says these devices will enable them to collect data within 2 weeks.
To assist the efforts in coordinating disaster response and recovery in our initial response to TC Yasa, the UNDP team willingly came on board with the funding support of Fijian dollars of 150,000.
And we turn to Whitney now for tonight's business report.
Thanks, Edwin. Coming up in business tonight, youth take advantage of Entrepreneurial Fair. And women commended for developing markets. Stay with us.
Bula, ang gonoa, ilutoka, lutalita ka ng Bula FM, bertini number 2 NSR.
Bula FM, number 2 NSR.
Young and budding entrepreneurs now have more training available through the University of the South Pacific's Entrepreneurial Fair. The annual event, now in its 3rd year, offers opportunities for networking, business, coaching and skills development. Lina Reese reports.
This fair provides deeper knowledge on business management.
For people who've got the resources, or probably who have the money but don't have the idea, right? Who probably have the resources and don't have the money, this is the fair for them, okay? Here you will go deeper into that aspect, right? Where you will invest your money and create a small business that you can enjoy to sustain your family and your livelihood.
Trainers from the Ministry of Commerce and Trade were astounded with the number of young people registering.
Opportunity now to get those big numbers yesterday. 450, we weren't expecting that. We were just expecting 200. Our group surpassed the number. So we are looking forward to today's training to get more people.
The USP Entrepreneurial Fair will continue today and conclude on Friday at the Japan ICT Center. Lina Reese, FBC News.
Sanifa from HFC Bank joins us now with the latest from the money market.
Good evening. The US dollar held near a 3.5-month high against its rivals today, as higher bond yields and expectations of faster economic normalization from the pandemic gave the US currency an advantage. Meanwhile, Japan's economy expanded at a slower than initially reported pace in October to December, with firms tightening spending on plants and equipment and sharply cutting inventories as the pandemic reduced demand. Separate data showed household spending was hit by a bigger annual drop in January than in the preceding month, a sign the pandemic was keeping consumers cautious about spending. Elsewhere, British consumers cut back heavily on spending as they spent a second month in lockdown. Consumer spending was 13.8% lower than a year before, with many businesses still closed. That's all for now from HFC Bank, Vinaka.
Here, the local exchange rates are set early this morning. The Fiji dollar was pegged higher than most of the currencies we cover. It gained on the Chinese yuan, the Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar, PNG kina, euro and the Japanese yen, but was down slightly versus the US greenback. On the commodities market, oil prices dropped a few dollars to close at $65 per barrel. Gold dropped to close at $1,683 per ounce, and silver closed down at $25.27 an ounce. Women have been commended for their leadership role in the local market vendor associations. Local Government Minister Premila Kumar says these leaders have stood strong together with the municipal councils in ensuring our markets are safe spaces to continue supporting local economic development in the face of COVID-19. Jeshulal reports.
Local government housing.
There are 12 market vendors associations, of which 9 are led by women.
They continue to advocate and play an important role in planning and decision making for their members. And our markets remain open for economic and food security purpose throughout these trying times.
So we have to make sure that we rise up to the challenges and we are able to deliver as expected.
The minister also highlighted the 28 women hold managerial and director positions at the 13 municipal councils.
You will also be happy to know we have more women appointed as chief executive officers of the municipal councils. As of today, we have 3 women who lead Nasinu Town Council, Ba Town Council, and Sabu Sabu Town Council. Each of these women are exceptional.
A project named Market for Change has been implemented to bring together the government, market vendors and market vendor associations, civil society organizations and UN agencies to promote gender equality through the economic empowerment of women vendors. Jeshulal, FBC News.
And that's it from Business Tonight. We now join Jamie with the latest in sports.
Vinaka, and good evening. Ahead in sports, Brazil ready for new role. And Nandolo re-signs with the Leicester Tigers. This and more coming up.
Hi, I'm Ini from Raki Raki. I love Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
The wait has finally ended for Netball Fiji as their new national head coach, Jenny Brazil, completed her 14-day mandatory quarantine yesterday after arriving in the country on March 22nd. The former Firebirds assistant coach will meet with Netball Fiji officials to discuss areas of focus for the upcoming season before she begins work with the national teams. Caroline Tavi reports.
Brazil is hoping to impart her experience with the Firebirds coaching team to the national squad.
When I look at the Fijian people, I think how resilient you are. So I think it's building that trust and respect, I think, with the girls and amongst each other, just to get our team culture sort of going.
Fiji is currently ranked 17th on the International Netball Federation, the best since 1999 when they were in 6th place on the standings. Brazil wants Fiji back in the top 10 amongst big names like New Zealand and Australia.
Netball internationally has definitely grown and changed, but I would definitely love to push us well up into that top 10, which I know is a big ask.
Getting the players' fitness up to par is one area the Australian national will be working on prior to the kickoff of the netball season.
With the fitness test results that came out in Jan, they know the results weren't as good as they should have been. But given, we haven't had any real major tournaments and opportunities for them to really be in high performance training, we've given them that leeway.
As host to the Netball World Youth Cup in December, Fiji will need to ensure they meet the expectations set out for them. The responsibility now lies on the shoulders of the head coach. Caroline Tavi, FBC Sports.
New players in the Nanranga football team made their presence felt in the first round of the Digital Premier League over the weekend. Ghanaian Atto Yangson and Nigerian Jibola Fonza showing impressive skills in the match against Nandi, which their coach believes will only improve with time. Tali Materakula reports.
Coach Ramesh Sharma believes the players are yet to unleash their full potential.
I think they are fitting in well, but they still have to find that combination, and the boys have to understand them better because they haven't spent so much time with us just the last 2-3 weeks.
Given a little more time, and the two will be a force to reckon with.
Still, they have done well, but I'm sure once they gel in very well with the team, they will make an impact.
Meanwhile, the Nanranga women's team looks to earn the maximum points in the next Super League matches.
We've set the platform, and we hope to maintain that winning ways. There are a lot of weaknesses that I've noticed in the team, especially in our midfield area.
The Nanranga men's and women's teams will host their opponents at Lawanga Park in Singatoko on Sunday. The women will face Rewa at 11:30 a.m. while the Nanranga men battle Suva at 3 p.m. Tali Materakula, FBC Sports.
Parents and fans will be able to watch their children and athletes compete at the Triple N Zone from the comfort of their homes when the meet is shown live for the first time on the FBC Sports channel this Friday. Triple N Zone President Solomone Seru says over the years many parents faced difficulties in traveling to Suva to see the competition. He believes athletes also become more competitive and pushed to another level when their parents are watching them.
From Wainimala, all the villages in Upper Naitasiri, Wainimala, Naitasiri Secondary School, Waindina Secondary School, Naitasiri, and also from Lomaibuna. All the community of Lomaibuna, they will be watching the games from the FBC platform and also the Walesi.
One of the pioneers of competitive women's cricket in the country, Choana Lesianawai, is proud of how far the sport has come since she played for the national team in 2015. Now working behind the scenes as a development officer for Cricket Fiji, she believes with continued support, female Fijian cricketers can do wonders. Karlaini Tavi has more.
10 women's cricket teams from around the region are now competing in Cricket Fiji's sanctioned tournaments.
We had a humble beginning from when we had 3 teams and we were just playing amongst our 3 teams, and then from 3 teams then we went on to 6 teams, and now we have a whole lot of teams, and it's good to see a lot of young players that are now interested into playing cricket.
With more young women taking up the sport, National Coach Joeli Mateawa says they now need a commitment from the players.
A lot of young talent has been seen from Suva, Ngaloa, Nandi, Nosori that are playing cricket. They are coming very committed to the game.
Former national rep Choana Lesianawai says they need more competition if the association wants to take the sport to another level.
Women, they have there's a lot of raw talent, so it's just that for them to have more competition, the more competition they get, the more they'll improve their skills.
Cricket Fiji is currently scouting women cricketers to be part of the national squad. A final selection will be made at the end of the month when the Easter Championship will be held. Karlini Tavi, FBC Sports.
Flying Fijian Nemani Nandolo has re-signed with the English club Leicester Tigers. German Kai Havertz was impressive for Chelsea in their 2-1 win over Everton in the English Premier League this morning. His first shot deflected off Everton's goalkeeper for an own goal before securing a penalty, which was converted by Jorginho for their second goal. That's it from sports tonight, and Weird and Wonderful later on. Take a look at Africa's most expensive pizza, which is topped with 24-carat gold leaves. Find out more after the break.
We love Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
And to end you now with weather.
A big
evening, hello to you and welcome to the Weather World. What a change in the weather scenario. The rain was pending for some time now and it finally decided to come around. It was quite useful too, as I think we had more than enough sunshine. Anyways, let's move to the other centers. In the west, rain was in the picture, a bit more than usual. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, heavy downpour. All this rain could cause flash flooding in low-lying areas. And up north, rain bands circulated. Showers are expected later tonight. At sea, southeast winds 25 to 30 knots, moderate to rough seas. Now turning to the tides, low tide at 9:49 p.m. with high tide at 4:17 a.m. Sunrise at 6:08. For tomorrow, it's the midweek. Showers will ease up too. It won't fully clear, but it won't be as much as today. Tomorrow's temps, most centers will be cool at 28 degrees. Suva will be cooler than others. And looking further on to Friday, the Yay Day, it looks like a clear day. That's all the weather news from my end. Have a wonderful evening. It's back to Edwin.
Thanks, Angie. In Fijian Pulse tonight, we ask, will you allow your children to take the COVID-19 jabs when and if it becomes available?
I allow my child to be vaccinated.
Yes, I will.
They have to think about it and sit down with the family. We talk about if the thing good, we take it.
Yes, because it would be much safer for my children to be around the public areas.
And recapping our main stories, Sodelpa General Secretary resigns for personal reasons. Ahluwalia broke work permit rules, says Prime Minister. And Methodist Church investigates Dilkusha allegations. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM to our poll question. This week we are asking, should more awareness be created on gender equality in Fiji? Visit our FBC website to answer. And on to our shot of the day. This wildflower was shot by Safia Ali from her backyard in Makoi, Nasinu. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos by email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts including Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. That's your news this evening. I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. Modemada.
Hi, I'm Asalika and I'm from Motoka and I love Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.